Hello everybody, this is Rock Kaput, two Germans talking about rock and metal. My name is Oliver, I'm flying solo today, and I'm going to talk about Cannibal Corpse today. Death metal veterans with 16 albums out so far. I'm going to rank the whole catalog, which again was quite the challenge for me. I don't know, maybe it's me who's, I don't know, struggling with ranking albums, but I think the Cannibal Corpse catalog is special, and yeah, bring some difficulties with it. The band started in 1990, was located in Buffalo, then later relocated to Florida, which was the kind of yeah, place to be for death metal in the early 90s. Nobody expected them to be this successful when they first started, and their first album came out. They were a little bit laughed as yeah, seen as a band who was mostly coasting by on shock value, but today they are, I think, the most successful and best-selling death metal band worldwide. So quite the feat they managed to pull off. Fans are still debating which one of their two iconic singers is the best. Chris Barnes, who was the first one, and then of course George Corpse Grinder Fisher, who's been with them for the last 30 years. Yeah, why is the catalog so challenging? So we have two very distinct singers, vocalists. We have I think three eras of the band. The first era being the first three albums with Chris Barnes. Then we have a kind of a middle phase, which I'd say goes from 1994 to about 2006. And then we have the last and longest stretch from 2006 till today. These three phases aren't that easy to compare, very different approach. They are always playing very brutal and in-your-face death metal, so there's not much variation there, but other than that, they changed quite a bit from the early days to today. Yeah, then, like I said, the last 20 years or so, they have found their style, and they didn't change too much in those last 20 years. Worked with one producer, except for one album, Eric Rutan, who is also one of the guitarists today. Yeah, you could say Cannibal Corpse are a very reliable band. They never made a real clunker. Yeah, many fans would say they could use a little bit of, I don't know, fresh blood or something, because the last couple of albums have been a bit interchangeable. Yeah, what is hard about ranking these albums? You always know what to expect from Cannibal Corpse, and they pretty much always deliver. There are albums I like more than others, but there's no real outlier, no bad one. And a bad Cannibal Corpse song doesn't sound too different from a very good Cannibal Corpse song. You won't get soaring melodies or, I don't know, progressive songs. They are always working in these short bursts of energy. Sometimes the songs are a bit slower, sometimes they are a bit faster, sometimes the riffs are more memorable, sometimes the vocal lines get stuck in your head better than other times, but other than that, Cannibal Corpse will always be Cannibal Corpse, so that makes it hard to rank these albums. And there are a lot of them, 16 albums. I mean, of course, it's harder to rank 16 albums than it is to rank 3 or something like that. That's just mathematics, I guess. Yeah, what can I say else? I've been following this band from the start. I think the first album I really bought and owned was the second one, Butchered at Birth. But back in the days, I read my monthly metal magazine obsessively and religiously. So I read all the reviews and all the interviews. And of course, I knew who Cannibal Corpse was. It took me a while to buy the records, but then I was fully on board with them, and I loved them ever since. Even when I lost track of them, I already mentioned a couple of years I didn't listen to metal, didn't follow it. But when I re-entered it, I made sure to buy the back catalog, and I dove into it and listened to what I've been missing in the years before. So yeah, here in Germany, there's a bit of a controversy around Cannibal Corpse. Youth protection over here didn't like or doesn't like their albums too much, so many of the cover artworks, always by Vincent Locke, are kind of censored. A couple of albums aren't banned, but in Germany we say indexed. I don't want to get into legalese. There's a difference between the two, but long story short, you won't get those albums in Germany. You won't get into jail if you own them or something like that, but vendors over here don't sell these records. Yeah, so that makes gigs over here special, because usually they don't play songs from those records. They're not allowed to, but yeah, they find ways to sneak them up once in a while. Yeah, but I'd say let's not get stuck on those tangents, and let's get right into it and start with the ranking of Cannibal Corpse. So one thing before I start with my number 16, when you look at lists on the internet, or check out rankings on I don't know, groups on social media, or lists on Ranker or wherever, you will find out that there are many different favorites. So other than with other bands, usually you have like 2 or 3 records that are usually favored. And with Cannibal Corpse, it's a bit different. I think I explained it. The record, quality-wise, the records are really close to each other. So yeah, obviously, depending on your preferences, you will like other records than other people. Yeah, I guess there's some cause for debate when I finished my ranking. And yeah, that probably might start with my last place album. On number 16, I have their 1995 album Vile, which was the first one to be recorded with the new singer after Chris Barnes left and George Corpse Grinder Fisher entered, formerly of Monstrosity. In style, the record is similar to the one before, which was The Bleeding. We have on guitar Rob Barrett, formerly of Malevolent Creation, and Jack Owen, who was with them from the start. Produced was Scott Burns, who was maybe the death metal producer back in the day, located in Tampa, Florida, in Morris Sound Studios. Usually records produced by Scott Burns tend to sound a bit samey, a bit too clean oftentimes. Many bands struggled with that because they sounded basically the same, but he managed to give Cannibal Corpse a very own sound. Alex Webster, the bassist, was always very prominent in the mix. So sound-wise, this one certainly stood out from the rest. Why is it 16? I think the record starts off very promising with, I think, the two best tracks on there, which are Devoured by Vermin. A typical opener for Cannibal Corpse. Usually they kick their records off with a very fast one, and this one fits the bill. And the second one is called Mummified in Barbed Wire, which is also pretty cool. George Fisher brings deep growl, but you can make out words, so you can follow his lyrics, and he combines those growls with very high shrieks. Similar to what Chris Barnes did before. Yeah, I think the record falters after those two starting tracks. I don't think it's too memorable, but this record has a lot of fans, and usually it's placed higher in the lists. Well, it's not one of my favorites, so it's not a bad record, but I like the other records they did way more. On number 15, I have a record from their last phase, last era, so to speak. It's 2014's Skeletal Domain, produced by Mark Lewis, who's a one-time producer for Cannibal Corpse. From 2006 on, Eric Rutan has produced all Cannibal Corpse records except for this one, and I don't like the production on it. There's not too much wrong with it. I just don't like how George Corpse Grinder Fisher is mixed. He's too loud. I think his voice is a bit grating on here. He's a very powerful shouter. I like him a lot, but sometimes he gets a bit in the way of the music, and then things become too chaotic, I think. So here, yeah, I think he doesn't sound too good. On guitars, we have Pat O'Brien and Rob Barrett. It was Pat O'Brien's last album with Cannibal Corpse. And yeah, there are good songs on there. I mean, usually Cannibal Corpse albums start off very well, and this one is no exception. High Velocity Impact Spatter is a cool track. Sadistic Embodiment, the second one I also like. Kill or Become has become a live standard, which is a cool track. I like the title track as well, which is a bit more, a bit slower. Yeah, but then it starts and songs become a bit samey. So yeah, you can certainly have a different opinion than me. Basically, with each of these albums, it comes down to, do I like the production and do I like the songs, and how many songs do I like? And on this one, I don't like the sound, and yeah, I think they have albums with a better collection of songs than this one. So number 15 is Skeletal Domain. On number 14, I have their most recent album, which is Chaos Horrific from 2023. On guitars, we have Eric Rutan and Rob Barrett. And Eric Rutan was also the producer for this one, as I mentioned before. This one came very quick after the record before, which might have something to do with the pandemic back in the early 20s. I don't know. They probably were bored and yeah, had time to write another album. I think you can hear it a bit on this one because to me it lacks variety and standout cuts. Record kicks off fine, Overloads of Violence is cool, Frenzied Feeding is a cool track. Summoned for Sacrifice, they made a pretty gory video for that one. That's a cool song as well. Blood Blind was another single. I don't care for that one too much, but yeah, Vengeful Invasion is another cool song. Yeah, not a bad album, but like I said in my introduction, you get the impression that yeah, there's maybe a bit too much routine involved, and it lacks a bit of inspiration. That's just my opinion about that one. So number 14, Chaos Horrific. On number 13, I have their album from 2017, which is called Red Before Black. On guitar, again, Eric Rutan and Rob Barrett. It's the first album with Eric Rutan on guitar, who came in for Pat O'Brien, and he was also the producer, of course. Nice collection of songs on here. Code of the Slashers has become kind of a staple in their live set. Firestorm Vengeance is pretty cool. Heads Shoveled Off. Only One Will Die, which is the opener, is another cool one. Many cool songs. Hideous Ichor is another cool track. It's the last one. But yeah, like the album I mentioned before, Chaos Horrific, it's not too exciting. It's yeah, a bit Cannibal Corpse by numbers, you could say. So it lacks that spark that makes you go wow. But it's a cool album. So number 12, I have their debut album, Eaten Back to Life. This is the old vinyl. You see it has the old logo. Nice cover artwork, very in your face, the zombie eating his own intestines. Yeah, that was pretty cool back in the day when I was 14, and I still love the album. I may have placed it low, but this is a really cool old school death metal album, which has its own sound, I think, because it still bears the influence of old thrash metal. Has a very fat guitar sound, was produced by Scott Burns as well. Chris Barnes is not doing those ultra low growls yet, so he's more raspy, in a bit more higher register. You can make out his lyrics, and I just think this record sounds totally awesome. Many great songs on there as well. The opener, Shredded Humans, is cool. I totally love Edible Autopsy, which is the second song. I think it has an absolute killer riff. And of course, A Skull Full of Maggots, which is still total barnstorm when they play it live. So yeah, very cool album. Still a bit immature, you could say, but this is a must-own for every death metal head, of course. Number 11 is the follow-up from 1991. So this is the first album by Cannibal Corpse I bought. It's Butchered at Birth. This is the censored German cover, but the beautiful artwork by Vincent Locke, of course, is on the inner sleeve. Yeah, they made a huge leap from the first album to that one. The first album was mostly demo tracks, which they re-recorded. And for Butchered at Birth, they had to write a whole new album, and they wanted to be the most brutal death metal band out there. So not only did they come up with that beautiful cover artwork, which yeah, was kind of a scandal. Chris Barnes also ramped the Gore lyrics up a notch, and yeah, the songs are just riffs upon riffs. So you could say songwriting wise, this album is lacking a bit because there are no real song structures. It's just riffs. But man, there are some great riffs on there. Starts off great with that very creepy, moody intro, and then Meat Hook Sodomy kicks in, which is a great track. On Vomit the Soul, Glenn Benton from Deicide is doing backup vocals. And I totally love the riff on Innards Decay, which comes in the beginning. Is a pretty melodic riff, very cool. But yeah, there's basically no standout track, which is yeah maybe a disadvantage of the album, because it lacks this one total highlight that you can shout along to live or when you listen to the record in your home. But yeah, obviously this is a total classic. It made Cannibal Corpse a household name by death metal heads as well as by conservative politicians who didn't like this record too much. So number 11, Butchered at Birth from 1991, also produced by Scott Burns, of course. On number 10, I have their album from 2012, which is simply called Torture. Yeah, that's another cool album with an absolute killer track called Scourge of Iron, which is pretty unusual song for Cannibal Corpse because it's really slow. You know, kind of like a long breakdown, if you will. That was a burst of inspiration, which I think has been lacking in the last couple of years. There are other cool songs on there. I prefer The Strangulation Chair or Crucifier Avenged. The opening track is another total fist pumper, you know. It's called Demented Aggression. Yeah, lots of good stuff on this one. And yeah, it's another album that got indexed in Germany. So over here, it's pretty hard to get your hands on it. You have to buy it somewhere in yeah, other countries. So number 10, Torture. On number 9, I have 2009's Evisceration Plague. On guitars, we have Pat O'Brien, formerly of Nevermore, and Rob Barrett. Producer was Eric Rutan. And yeah, cool tracks on here. The opener, Priest of Sodom, is totally insane. And yeah, one of my favorite Cannibal Corpse tracks is on here, To Decompose. A Cauldron of Hate is cool. And of course the title track, there's a nice video of that one as well, Evisceration Plague. Yeah, just a super heavy album. I will get to their most recent sound when I come to the album that kicked it all off. But yeah, you know, when Cannibal Corpse started, they were operating mostly at high speed, deep vocals, riffs upon riffs. In their last phase, they kind of cleaned up their sound a bit. They're a bit slower. Songs are shorter and more structured, but they are like a sledgehammer to the skull. I mean, these guys are heavy. You won't find any ballads or melodic tunes on there. It's just yeah, you will get your head bashed in by those. And Evisceration Plague gives you like 13 tracks of that. Yeah, like I said, these albums can be a bit samey, but they are operating on a very high level. The riffs are absolutely crazy. When you go to YouTube and you watch those guitarists playing Cannibal Corpse riffs, you see what these guys are doing, and it's just crazy. So, number 9, Evisceration Plague. On number 8, and this might come as a surprise, I think many fans would place this one lower. I like this album a lot. It's their second to last album called Violence Unimagined. It's from 2021. Eric Rutan and Rob Barrett on guitars, Eric Rutan producing. And yeah, this is just a good collection of Cannibal Corpse tracks, I'd say. Nothing much to say about it. Murderous Rampage is the perfectly titled opener, which is a murderous rampage. Necrogenic Resurrection is a very cool track. Inhumane Harvest was the single, if you will. Condemnation Contagion is cool. Follow the Blood is a pretty great song. Bound and Burned is a more slow song, also very cool. Over Torture, Cerements of the Flayed. Yeah, I think songwriting wise, this is one of their strongest outputs from the last couple of years. But yeah, you might have this one lower, and I wouldn't fault you for that. So now we're getting to the albums I think are the best. Yeah, we're at number 7, and from here on out, I think all the albums are great. So on number 7, I have Gore Obsessed from 2002. Great album title. I guess it sums up the band's tastes perfectly. On the guitars, we have Jack Owen and Pat O'Brien. So yeah, still one of the founding members on guitars. Producer was Neil Kernan, and that's a very high-profile producer. He's not a death metal guy. He produced Judas Priest, pop superstars, Hall & Oates, Queensryche, Dokken, Nevermore. So pretty unusual for him to produce a Cannibal Corpse album, and yeah, you hear it a bit. I think the sound isn't perfect. It's a bit murky, but the band is firing on all cylinders, so it doesn't matter that much. Very, very great, memorable songs on this one. Savage Butchery, the killer opener, Hatchet to the Head. Pit of Zombies is kind of a life staple of Cannibal Corpse. Dormant Bodies Bursting, Compelled to Lacerate, Drowning in Viscera, Hung in Blood. I could just recite all the song titles because there's really no weak track on this one. Yeah, just a very good album from the middle phase of the band. Yeah, and probably my favorite era, you know, from 95 to 2006. I think they put out their best albums, and you will see soon. Yeah, on number 6, I have their third album from 1992, Tomb of the Mutilated. This is the censored cover, and like with Butchered at Birth, we have the uncensored image on the inner sleeve. Yeah, after Butchered at Birth, all eyes were on Cannibal Corpse. They had made a name for themselves, and of course they had to one-up Butchered at Birth, which was pretty hard to do, but and they outdid themselves, not only lyric-wise and image-wise, but with songs as well. So here they started to write really well-structured songs, not just riffs upon riffs, yeah, of course, it starts with maybe their most famous song, which was also featured in the comedy Ace Ventura, Hammer Smashed Face. But they have a couple of other hits on this one. I Come Blood is a total life staple to this day. And man, if you want to gross out someone, you just have to read out those song titles. I mean, Split Wide Open is still pretty tasteful, you could say, but Addicted to Vaginal Skin, Entrails Ripped from a Virgin's Cunt. Yeah, that's bound to make parents run amok, which they did. Great album. You have to get used to Chris Barnes growling a bit. He's even lower than he was on Butchered at Birth. Many fans think he's the total godfather of the low growls. I don't like the style too much. I think it grows old fast, becomes a bit tiresome, and I don't think it sounds that heavy over the full length of an album. But yeah, this is a total death metal classic. You can't go wrong with it. So number 6, Tomb of the Mutilated. Number 5 is an album that very often makes first place in these Cannibal Corpse rankings, and it's The Bleeding from 1994, the last album they did with Chris Barnes, and the first album they did with Rob Barrett, who was replacing Bob Bruce on guitar. He came from Malevolent Creation, did 2 albums with them, then left the band and returned later on. And here with this album, they continued the development from Tomb of the Mutilated. These are really well-structured songs, stripped, raped, and strangled. You could almost say that this is their pop song, if you will, which it's really super hooky, and has a great rhythm, great groove. You can sing along with it. It's as close as you will come to a death metal hit, if you will. And it's not the only song like that on that album. Staring Through the Eyes of the Dead, Pulverized, I Love, Force-Fed Broken Glass, The Pickaxe Murders, She Was Asking for It. Great tunes. I'm a bit burned out on it, and I don't like the sound too much. This one was produced again by Scott Burns, and I think they did well to look for another producer after that one, because later on they would get much more powerful in their sound, and that fit them really well. But this is a total classic. If you're into death metal, you need to have this one, and I guess you already have. Number 4 is another one that many fans would regard as maybe their best. It's 2006's Kill, and this one is the album where they entered their most recent phase, you could say. So the albums before, from the middle era, were a bit more playful, a bit more experimental, and yeah, starting with this album, they would just go straight for the jugular, you could say. Songs are usually between 3 and 4 minutes. They are either really fast or mid-tempo. Um, they are I wouldn't say cleaned up, but yeah, they don't have that many riffs anymore. They usually have 2 or 3 parts, and they punch you in the face, crack your head open with a sledgehammer, and then they do the next one. So it's a very efficient approach in pummeling you to the floor. It's a bit, if they wouldn't have these insane riffs, you could say it's a bit Neanderthal approach, because it's just brutal. Yeah, there's no time for any frills or stuff like that, which they had in the on the albums before. But yeah, man, I think it's pretty impressive to play death metal for 16 years and then manage to become even more brutal afterwards. So and Kill has killer tracks, obviously. The Time to Kill Is Now is an absolutely insane opener. Make Them Suffer is a life staple to this day. Murder Worship, Necrosadistic Warning, Five Nails to the Neck, Purification by Fire, Death Walking Terror, Brain Removal Device. It's just, yeah, one killer track after the other. It's really an insane album, and after you've listened to this one, you really need a break, and I don't know, you have to listen to some music because this is just so relentless. So now we are getting to my final 3. And number 3 is 1999's Bloodthirst, featuring Pat O'Brien and Jack Owen on the guitars. And these last 3 albums are Cannibal Corpse at their most playful and inventive, I would say. So you get lots of different styles on these albums. It was produced by Colin Richardson, British producer who did Bolt Thrower, Carcass, Napalm Death, but also Machine Head. So he knew how to make very heavy albums, and yeah, he delivered for this one, which is some of Cannibal Corpse's best tracks. I totally love the insane opener, Pounded into Dust, which sounds exactly like the song title. Dead Human Collection, Unleashing the Bloodthirsty. The Spine Splitter has a really insane guitar solo. I don't know what it is. It almost sounds like from some video game, really crazy. Ecstasy in Decay is just insane. Raped by the Beast. I mean, there's so many great tracks on this one, and every song sounds different. What is similar to each of them is the amount of killer riffs and great musicianship. Yeah, could easily be number 1. In fact, all these albums could switch places with each other because the quality is so high on each one of them. So for now, this is number 3, Bloodthirst from 1999. On number 2, I have 2004's The Wretched Spawn. Again, produced by Neil Kernan, who got another shot after Gore Obsessed, and this one sounds way better, I think. It's the last album with founding member and guitarist Jack Owen, who went to Deicide and got replaced again by Rob Barrett. Yeah, like on Bloodthirst, you have really different styles on this album. Yeah, very inventive, very playful, very technical. and just great songwriting. Opener is Severed Head Stoning, and then you have crazy stuff like Psychotic Precision, a track which makes hobby guitarists scratch their heads, Frantic Disembowelment, which is notoriously hard to play, and it's written by Pat O'Brien, and even his band members were helpless and had to spend hours practicing it because guitar and bass riffs are so crazy on that one. The Wretched Spawn is a bit slower, a bit more doomy tuned, you could say. Festering in the Crypt is great. Blunt Force Castration. Then we have the song that was also mentioned in the great cartoon series Death Clock, Rotted Body Landslide. You know, you have these crazy lyrics they are coming up with, and sometimes they are just disgusting. Other times they are so over the top it's just funny, like, you know, Rotten Body Landslide is one of those. Bent Backwards and Broken is another one. Yeah, just a flawless death metal album with lots of stuff on it that no other band could write. So that leaves my number one. You probably know which one I'm talking about when you're into Cannibal Corpse. Actually, this wasn't... took a while before it became one of my faves, because back in the day when I bought it, didn't make that big of an impression on me. But I've come to really love it, and I think it's Cannibal Corpse at their most versatile and yeah, inventive and creative. It's Gallery of Suicide from 1998. On guitars we have Pat O'Brien. It's his first album with the band. And Jack Owen. Producer was Jim Morris. And this is just chock full of hits. So we have the typical Cannibal Corpse opener, I Will Kill You. Disposal of the Body is a very fast song, very cool track. I really love Sentence to Burn. It's one of my favorite Cannibal Corpse tracks. I think they should play it live again. Really catchy tune. Blood Drenched Execution is absolutely crazy. Gallery of Suicide is a bit more moody. We have a very unusual track for Cannibal Corpse, which is the instrumental From Skin to Liquid, which is way more moody and melodic. Maybe their most melodic song, you could say. Many people love it. I think that's something that was missing on the last few albums. They could maybe, it's time to do something like that again. Unite the Dead, Every Bone Broken, Centuries of Torment, Crushing the Despised. You know, if you want brutal death metal, you won't go wrong with that one. And there's lots of insane riffs and songwriting ideas to discover on that one. So yeah, to me, like I said, the last 7 albums I mentioned, they're all very good to great, and depending on my mood they could switch. I wish I think they will release a new album in 2026. Who knows? I hope. Yeah, they will try new stuff again, because I think they maneuvered themselves into kind of a rut with the last records. I mean, they are certainly not getting younger anymore. They are all way past 50, doing this for 35 years, which is crazy. No one thought that they would be there that long when they came out with Eaten Back to Life in 1990. So it's quite the feat that they pulled off, playing music that unforgiving and technically sophisticated as they do. But I wish they would switch up the flow a bit with the next one, because I think the last couple of albums are a bit samey. They're not bad, but they could try something different, something new again, like they did in their middle phase, where yeah, the songs had different styles a bit more. Maybe you disagree with me, I don't know. Give me your comments, tell me what you think of my ranking, what your favorite Cannibal Corpse albums are. Tell me, give me your lists, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and yeah, thank you for your time. Be there for the next ranking, which is coming soon. Until then, stay brutal. Bye.